My name is Evan Hirsch, and I co-founded S.O.U.L, which is Summer of Unconditional Love, with that guy Kip over there. And we did this for the express purpose of spreading more love in the world, being a positive influence to those around us, and as far reach as we can find. As Jay said, not about getting 1 million likes or anything, but each individual whom we have touched. Take Milton right here. Good example. In this basking in the sunshine of our atrium. And so in coming here today, I deliberated back and forth. Should I just give a talk? Should I read some talk? No, I'll read. No, I'll talk. But I've written this stuff. I got to read it. So I've been working on a book for a while, and I have a ton of material. It's called The Secret Power of Love. And it's about recognizing where our negative emotional reactions are getting in the way of our thought process, of our sharing with others, of our living to our highest potential, of our operating with the flow of life, with the universe. And those things stand to impede our ability to connect with literally our own heart, with each other, and with the greater whole. And so by examining ourselves, our reactions, our behavior, we can learn a lot. It's very insightful. I think my greatest wish for mankind is that we start recording everything we do and then go back and say, oh my God, was that me? Is that? And we can get underneath and see, what was I doing? What was I really getting at? What did I really need in that moment? And how was I expressing it? And how successful was I at getting what I was really after? So I'm going to read a little passage from the early introduction to the book, some words on love and fear. Secret Power of Love. Love is not the only option. It's just the one we'd certainly choose if we realized we actually have the choice. In the words of celebrity multi-platinum selling musician and peace activist John Lennon, there are two basic motivating forces, fear and love. When we are afraid, we pull back from life. When we are in love, we open to all that life has to offer with passion, excitement, and acceptance. We need to learn to love ourselves first in all our glory and our imperfections. If we cannot love ourselves, we cannot fully open to our ability to love others and our potential to create. Evolution and all hopes for a better world rest in the fearlessness and open-hearted vision of people who embrace life. This passionate pop star who cared so much said it so well, and these timeless observations are still so relevant today. Lennon was a performer who was adored by millions, and rather than focus solely on capitalizing off of them, he chose to use his platform to broadcast his emphatic pleas for peace all over the world and deliver his powerful and universally applicable message about such fundamental concepts. Hey, Mike. Being delivered by such a keen observer of human behavior and a compassionate and outspoken nurturer of the human spirit, it's no wonder that to this day, there are still droves of Beatles fans as well as non-fans, uttering the mantra, all you need is love. Thank you. If we fully recognized and believed that statement were true on all levels, there is no limit to how far we could be positively influenced by its power. Furthermore, his comment about there being two motivating forces is one of the main premises of this book, making his statement particularly relevant. In simple words from Aung San Suu Kyi, who was the president of the National League for Democracy in Myanmar and a Nobel Peace Prize winner, the only real prison is fear, and the only real freedom is freedom from fear. This from a woman who was imprisoned for a decade and a half in her own home by the country's military, despite winning an overwhelming majority in parliament. And she found enough freedom from her fear to come back out and run for a presidency 5 years later. What an inspiration. I'm looking up here. What an inspiration. Is it Mardi Gras already? Save the world, Tony Tone! Somebody save the world. Here's another relevant quote from a former United States president, Franklin D. Roosevelt, that seems to be ubiquitous in our culture and yet is almost always abbreviated. Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance. If this quote were so integrated into our lives that we implemented every facet of the premise into every moment that we experience, every thought that we have, every expression we make, and every action we take, there would certainly be no need for this book. When it comes right down to it, we truly have nothing to fear but fear itself. Because if the fear is gone, we are left with love and contentment, period. What's interesting is that the real value of this quote seems to lie in the part less often repeated, which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat to advance. Fear by nature is crippling. Constantly it urges us to retreat. But what a sacrifice! To retreat from life? Retreat from interaction? Retreat from following our own hearts? What good could we expect to come from that state of resistance? And if this backing away cripples our ability to unify and work in cooperation to provide the needs that sustain life, how do we ever accomplish anything? Since our thoughts can also influence our physiology, recognizing and managing our fear thoughts and ultimately working to diminish them by replacing them with more productive concepts, we can function better holistically. Both our contentment and our ability to contribute to the feeling of harmony in others is often stifled by the myriad doubts and worries that enter our mind by whatever cause. Therefore, it seems prudent toward the goal of working together to accomplish the goals that we have to learn how to let those counterproductive thoughts go so that new ones, more consistent with our contentment and ability to fire on all cylinders, can flourish. Then we're ready to learn and employ tools that can work to bring more harmony into our lives, better recognize and celebrate the joy that already exists in and around us, and use those things to help make our influence upon the world around us more closely aligned with our intentions and what's in our hearts. Since negativity hinders our ability to think clearly, it stifles our ability to collaborate on solutions to the challenges we face in getting needs met, helping others, and finding contentment. When we start with personal responsibility for ourselves and our own words and actions, we quickly inspire those around us to share more positive aspects of their experience of life, in return, reinvigorating our positive emotions. In this way, it is a form of the popular bumper sticker quote, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." This builds quickly into an upward spiral of positivity, as described in Barbara Fredrickson's insightful book, Positivity, and parallels the song made famous by Louis Armstrong, "When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you." When our motivation is inspired by emotions that relate to love rather than those relating to fear, we're firing on all cylinders, our brain is working to our benefit, and we're confident. If we aren't confident, how are we going to come up with any ideas at all? Just imagine what it would sound like. "Well, I could try this, but it won't work because," or, "Well, how about this?" "Nah, that would never work." That's the voice of resistance and hesitation talking. It can sound really amusing when we step back from it or look at it in someone else, but yet many of us get caught in the same trap. We often can't even develop an idea when coming from a place of fear because the negative oriented thoughts tell us that none are good enough. When we come out of love, we simply ask ourselves what we want and start to examine the multitude of ways we can make it happen. Then we analyze and determine which is most likely to help accomplish our goal and formulate a plan to go after it. We weigh the trade-offs between the energy we'd expend to pursue it versus how potentially effective using that energy another way may be, the risks, rewards, etc. We can also decide which steps might most likely attract collaborators and then consider who in our network might be a good candidate for those roles. So our approach is entirely different in most every way when coming from a love state of being. And we will usually find it a much simpler, more direct approach to life, relationships, and achieving success in our endeavors, including our own contentment. And here's the trick to the whole thing. The jackhammer that dismantles the fear fortress around which we surround ourselves is our own self-awareness. As Sanford Meisner, the great acting teacher, used to say, the only way out is through. Now, the words have to may seem quite strong and are often exaggerated and not clarified why you have to. But in the case of this practice of doing love, it has to start with each one of us as individuals making the decision to look for, feel, examine, and assess our negative emotions. That way, we can listen to what they're actually telling us we need and how we can learn from and be inspired by them to find more confidence that we will get our needs met and not have them hinder us in reaching our goals. Without being open to examining our own internal stuff that no one else could possibly know as intimately as we do, we cannot participate in the practice of doing love. Because taking responsibility for our own transmissions is at the core of its success. And those reactions come from our overall programming in life. Once we make this leap into total willingness to admit, dissect, and discuss our negative emotional reactions, especially in the rearview mirror, everything changes. A whole new world of observation and rethinking will be our playground in which to reinvent ourselves. Employing the other tools of the secret power of love simply becomes skills we help each other develop as we go. Thank you. Secret power of love, baby. Look for that soon. Soon. Any questions, comments, remarks, feedback? We got a couple minutes. Thank you, Milton. Yes, sir. Let me give you, thank you. Are there any techniques we can use to help us get into this love state of being? I'm going to give you some simple tools right now. I've said all along, everything you need to know about this book is on page 1. I wrote this thing called page 1. Of course, you can figure out where it is in the book. But it tells you everything. Everything else in the book explains it deeper, gives you examples, how to apply them, and all that. But let me give you a few things. The fundamental primary tenet of the secret power of love is to never speak the fear. How often do we complain, express our exasperation, just express our negative emotions, our opinions, our judgments? We react, we spit things out, right? How productive are those? How productive are those for ourselves? And what are they doing to those who pick them up on their radar of perception? So the number one primary fundamental tenet, please, is never speak the fear. Okay? So it doesn't mean sit there and suffer in silence. It means constructively engage someone who cares about you, who will support you, and cry on their proverbial shoulder, literally if you have to. Can I just complain for a minute, get something off my chest for a minute? Of course, please. I mean, wouldn't we all welcome that in people we care about? This sucks. That woman's a bitch. She totally pissed me off. Hug. Oh my God, hug. But it's constructive, it's productive, it's in an appropriate venue and context for doing it. That's number one. That's the primary fundamental tenet of the secret power of love. The 3 fundamental tenets of the secret power of love, they're so simple, I guarantee you'll all agree with them, and yet I don't see any human employing them. That's the secret here. The secret power of love is that this stuff, guess what? Shh, you know what? It's right there. It's been there all along. That's the secret. And it's powerful, believe me. I've been using it for years, and I've taught this to people, and they're flourishing. Barbara Fredrickson, in her book Positivity, talks about the positivity ratio. If your positivity ratio is 3 to 1 or higher, you'll go from languishing to flourishing. I love that. Here are the 3 fundamental tenets of the secret power of love. We cannot change the past. Let that sink in for a second. Every single day of my life, I witness people speaking as though they could do something about what already happened. Just check yourself. Again, if we had a recorder going all day and went back over our day and examined, observed, analyzed what we did, what we said, what we put out there, you'd probably be shocked. But you'll get over it. Number 2, we cannot, with any reliable accuracy, I have to qualify, but really I just say we cannot predict the future. And let's not act as though we can. Yeah. Oh, it's going to rain tomorrow. Well, okay. The forecaster has predicted rain and it might. Good to know. I'll bring a poncho. But does that mean it is going to rain tomorrow? I'll see you tomorrow at 3. Well, not if a jet falls out of the sky on your house in the middle of the night. Let's acknowledge we do not know the catalysts that are coming along that the universe have in mind for us that we have not yet witnessed. It's huge. Every single day I hear people speaking as though they can predict the future without just acknowledging simply, well, I think they'll happen. I'm not sure. I can't predict, but it seems like it's going that way. The data tells me this prediction feels appropriate, but it's still a prediction. It's a guess at best. Number 3, we cannot control other people's behavior. Every single day I see people struggling with wanting another person to do something differently, or to show them more respect, or shut up, or talk when I ask you, or right? Once we let go of that desire and that effort to control other people's behavior, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, as my acting teacher used to say, the world of freedom that will open up to you when you recognize as soon as you do, oh, what am I trying to control their behavior? You're going to do whatever you're going to do. Let me just share what my needs are. If you feel like accommodating me, great. If not, well, I can't do anything about it anyway. Oh my God, letting go. So there it is. If it's one thing I had to say, it's let go. Question. How important is it to communicate your intention and be communicating more accurately? Well, extremely. Yeah, this is the thing. We and I was going to give a whole talk, considered at one point giving a whole talk about this, about how accurate we are in expressing ourselves. Again, and when you look at the 3 fundamental tenets, they're all in there. We're not being accurate if we're saying something's going to happen, or I wish that didn't happen. Maybe it's accurate that we wish something didn't, but good luck doing anything about it, right? But communicating clearly, effectively, accurately, expressing our needs, recognizing, taking an emotional pulse, I call it, see what's going on for me and what do I need right now, so we can enlist people's support. That's the ticket. Are we complaining and bringing them down, or are we sharing our needs with them to enlist their support in helping us fulfill them? That's what we're all here for each other, are we not? Don't we love helping people, love supporting people? We can do that. We've got to take a look at a few things that we're doing right now, because it appears to me, and what I witness, the interaction of people, we're not always being super accurate about that, and we're not being super expressive about what our needs are. So go with love. Find the peace in your heart. It's there. It's sometimes really hard to see because we get what I call a cloud of fear around our heart, and we can't connect our minds to our hearts. But all that we started with today with Jay, with the meditating, with the letting go, with the breathing, the breath lowers the blood pressure, calms the mind. It's so simple. You realize, oh shit, that pissed me off. Okay, time out. Oh my God. It's amazing what one breath